Welcome to my brand new series, I Failed. Here's where I'm going to be bringing back agents that used to be on this team to share their story with you on why they did not succeed. Everybody out there, including myself, is sharing successes from top producers of what they're doing to be successful, but nobody's sharing what happens to the ones that failed. So I am unveiling the curtain of full transparency to allow these agents to share their story with you so you can get a different side of the business and really make a informed decision on whether or not this industry is right for you. My name is Dana Neeson, and welcome to I Failed. Welcome, Charisma. How are you doing today, Charisma?
I'm good. How are you?
Charisma, where are you coming to us from? Tell the world.
I'm across the world right now, so I'm in Africa because it's dark.
Amazing. So it's 11
Uh,
o'clock Pacific time here in California. What time is it in Africa where you are?
it is 9:05 p.m.
And you've
Yeah.
just put the kids to bed?
Yeah, well, some of them. I hear one of them laughing and I don't
Well, it's
they just think it's a
summertime.
big vacation over here.
I bet. I mean, my kids are only 13 and 11 and they go to bed after me. I mean, which is so bad, but I'm used
Yeah.
before them. So anyway, yesterday, I launched Ben Garcia, who used to be on the
Yeah.
team, and he has been featured on my YouTube channel before with a coaching call. And ironically enough, you have too. So you are also no stranger to my YouTube page. Um,
I'm not.
and I'm actually specifically choosing agents to come back who I have featured in the past.
Mhm.
Because oftentimes people will reach out to me on the old videos and say, hey, whatever happened to so and so, or are they still on your team? How are they doing now? And
Yeah.
and so here you are in Africa. Spoiler alert, you are not on the team anymore.
I'm not on the team anymore.
But we're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves, of course. As you'll see if you watch the series, everybody that I'm bringing back, I have, everyone's left on great terms.
Yeah,
Right. So there was no animosity. There wasn't anything like I screwed you or the company screwed you. It just circumstances led to the decision that you made, which we're going to talk about and unpack here today. So
absolutely.
let's start from the beginning. Tell everybody who you are and when you got into the industry and kind of what your first experience was like.
So I got in well, so my husband's been in the industry for like 13, 14 years now. And I got into the industry just a few years ago. Um, and we started, or I guess, he's always been on the broker side.
Mhm.
I started out with the broker. But what I found for us was with brokers, obviously you have to pay for the leads, which can be costly. You really have to um like factor that in. And then the other thing is training. As a broker, sometimes on your own, it lacks a lot of training. So that's kind of the side that I started with, was just kind of being thrown into it. And here you go, by the way, make sure you get this done and then make some money and make some sales. So
So how long did you do the broker thing for?
um I think it was a year and a half,
Year and a half. So that's a decent amount of
a
time,
year
right?
and a
A
half,
couple
two
people
years.
that I've interviewed have only kind of gave it a few months. Um,
Yeah, I think I
they
did it for like a
realized
year and a half.
it. So a year and a half is a good amount of time, I think, to really give it a true test, to determine whether or not it's going to be the right fit for you for the long run. So on
Absolutely.
average, do you remember on average how much you were spending monthly and what you were netting in return of that monthly investment? Do you remember it all?
You know, I want to say monthly, we were probably having to spend probably like 4,000 maybe on leads.
Mhm.
Um, and we would be expecting about 10,000 to come in. So then you deduct 4,000 to 5,000 out for leads and you're making about somewhere around there. But it could have been, obviously that's just like on my end because
Yeah.
Gregory had his whole side. But just for me, those were my personal goals is okay, I need to be spending X amount on leads. This is what I should be expecting in return. And, you just try and keep making a profit on it. So
And was that the case? So for every 5,000 you would spend, you would get 5,000 returns. So you would kind of double your investment. You get 10,000.
sometimes it really just depended on sometimes like the leads, or for me in the case when I was a broker, I didn't have the training.
Yeah.
So I was really working on just kind of being thrown in there and trying to figure out as I went, and then learning from my husband who'd been in there a long time, but he as well, he was busy. So, just kind of
Okay.
learning it.
So I'm going to assume that some people who are watching are thinking that's not a bad gig, right? Independent
Yeah.
contractor making 5,000 a month. What caused you to try to maybe look to see what else is out there?
The training,
The
the
train,
training.
basically.
Yeah, because you only want to go around the same mountain so many times, and um you want to be efficient. You don't want to what I call waste leads, throw them away. You want to make sure that when you're on the conversation, when you're having a client on the other end of the line, you want to make sure that you're as sharp in your skills as you possibly can be. And I think the one thing that my husband and I really really, really, really stressed was I needed training. I'd come from a background of being a stay-at-home mom of 5 kids
Mhm.
forever. I'd not had any type of sales communication training at all in how to have effective conversations. So, um, sales conversations in that sense. So I think for us, what really drove us to kind of look elsewhere was training.
So just playing devil's advocate, why not just invest like another $5,000 into like a formal sales training program and then continue to do what you're doing?
Because we wanted something that was tailored for specifically for final expense. And you
Mm.
can find so many different sales trainings out there, but they're not geared for that specific um industry.
You do bring up a good point because I would agree with you. It's really up to the agent to take what they've learned from those sales training courses and then regurgitate it into
Mhm.
whatever you're selling. And I have done
Exactly.
all that work already for you.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
we're a year and a half in, you're finding that you're wanting to get better results, but you feel stuck because in order
Yeah.
you're not your conversion rate isn't growing. You're still getting the same results, whether you spend 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, it's still about the same results. You're not going any.
Yeah.
Okay. So you decide you're going to leave the broker world. You're going to basically pay for a reduced commission in the way of training, right? And
Mhm.
that I'm going to guess the goal for that is to make the same or more because you're going to have a higher conversion rate and without the stress of constantly having to buy leads. Is that an accurate assumption?
Mm, yeah, something like that. I think that I just figured that, by taking a reduced commission, it's going to be worth it because I'm going to be one, getting leads, not having to spend money on leads, but two, getting training that's not ever going to leave. It's something that's ingrained in my mind, even to this day, of asking the questions, and it's something that truthfully, I was able to even convert from insurance to just everyday general life, like knowing, like just asking the questions has helped in so many different situations and scenarios and clarifying, and getting the other people to talk to me and tell me so that I'm not trying to fish for it or put ideas in their head.
Mm.
Um, it's it's been life changing.
Okay, so just going to ask you a very basic question because we want to get into what you experienced when you were here and what ultimately caused you to want to get out of it.
Mhm.
What you were looking for from this team, did you get it? Just on a 10,000 foot view, did you get what you were looking for when joining this team?
Yes.
Okay. So you got what you were looking for. Everything's good, right? You actually come out of the gate pretty strong. And you're definitely your own worst critic, right? I remember you being really hard on
Yeah.
yourself and just wanting it so, so bad, always attending, training and booking one-on-one calls, doing call reviews, doing all the right things. So
Yeah.
talk to me a little bit about, from what you can remember, just like your mentality with like the day-to-day overtime being here. What was that like for you?
For me, it was fine. I think um like it got to the point where I was looking forward to it every day. It was not a struggle. It was not hard. Um, I think that it was just like building up that momentum and, again, being my worst critic. I'm like, oh my gosh. For me, it just all of a sudden began like, oh my gosh, okay, what can I do today to improve? Okay, ooh, what can I do today or in this next conversation? If they say this, what's another way I can respond? So for me, I really, really enjoyed it. I think I got everything I was looking for.
And so you got everything you were looking for. You were really enjoying it. You were actually doing really well. I mean, you were definitely on pace to be a top producer on this team. Um, Without kind of going all the way to the end here, what did you see while you were here as some of the reasons that agents would just come and go so often? What did you see as some of the struggles that people would experience?
Um, I'd say maybe I can't say that it was for me. I can't say really like train if for them, maybe I can't really speak for them, but maybe they didn't understand the training. Maybe their life situation was, demanding them that they needed something right then and there, and they couldn't take the time to really like soak in and practice and get the training under their belt. Um, I'm not, it's not for everybody. I mean, I wish it was, but it really isn't. You have to be able to take time. Like if you're going to master something, you have to take time to put into it and focus in it. Um, and sometimes people struggle in communication in general. So I
Yeah.
think sometimes it could have just been people not honing in on the training and taking advantage of that. Um, and just really not taking the time to understand, that it's more than just words on a paper. When you're talking to someone, you really have to like listen between what they're saying as well. So,
What I'm hearing you say is that your currency on this team is your time.
yeah.
And even though if I were to say, you really got to give yourself 30, 60, 90 days, really 90, right? To get everything under your belt and start building a pipeline of business. 90 days, I think you kind of hit it on the head there. That's a long time for people that need to pay bills yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
And that
Ex-
definitely contributes to a high turnover in the industry when people are expecting instant results and then don't get it. Um,
exactly.
Speak about like the day to day, because how many kids do you have?
I have five.
5 kids.
Five kids. At the time I was on the team, they were all being homeschooled. Um, and my husband was working from home, and it was a lot. There was a lot going on at home behind the scenes. So I was trying to manage working, getting in the hours I wanted to get in to hit my goals, but also trying to make sure that the home was being taken care of and ran at the same time. So it it was a lot.
So that would be a lot for anybody, right? I mean, and that
Yeah.
speaks to the fact that having a traditional W-2 job would just be impossible for your lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
Not
Yeah.
even a question. So I can certainly understand why having a 1099 opportunity would make them absolutely most sense for you. But still, it's
Exactly.
almost even more important to put in the time when it is your responsibility. There is no hourly, guarantee just for clocking in and clocking out. How difficult was it for you to put in the talk time in order to generate consistent sales on a daily basis?
It It was hard. I mean, I had my weeks where I was able to knock it out of the park and hit my goals and even exceed them. But then I also had weeks where it was really hard for me to be able to generate that talk time because of family life behind the scenes. And that could be another reason why some people don't succeed in this business as well. Not just because they're not honing in um on the training side of it, but also they the holding themselves accountable to hitting those goals, to hitting the talk time, to putting in the work hours, just not being self-disciplined or dedicated. That can affect you greatly. And I
Yeah.
think for me, that was one of the things that just kind of got in the way, was like, I
And
have my weeks where it was consistent, and then there was weeks where it just wasn't. Life was going on, and I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. Something has to stop. So,
so let's just play a pretend game then for a second. In the absence of the kids, do you think that you would have had far more success than you did in the time you were here?
oh, absolutely. Because for me, it was something that I started to, it was for me, it started to be something that I was building up. You know what I mean? Like, you're hitting goals, and if you're a goal oriented person, and if you're wanting to achieve something like that, like, I wasn't wanting to like run the company, but it was just so nice to be able to hit like just some consistent goals. Oh, absolutely. Because that's just, I hate to say it, but that's just the type of person I am. I'm a very like focused, like hard on myself, dedicated person. So I think definitely in the and sadly, but in the absence of kids, there definitely it would have been a lot different. So
I mean, there's definitely a lot of people on the team right now that have kids that find a way to make it work because they literally have
yeah,
no choice, right? They have to
right.
support their family. I mean, you and I are both lucky enough to have husbands that contribute to the household, and so there isn't as much of that pressure,
Yeah,
which sometimes helps because you can like remove yourself from the expectation of the sale because you're not the sole provider, and without even knowing it, that probably helps your sales process.
yeah,
But
sure.
um, on an opportunity standpoint, and we're almost at the point where I want to talk about why you left. What would you say to a new agent or an agent that's currently a broker that's struggling about what they would expect when being on a team like this?
Mm, I would just say to go into it with an open mind, and know that what you're wanting is achievable, but you really just have to take the time, and you have to have some grace and a little bit of perseverance to get there. So you just have to be patient. You just have to be dedicated, focused, and patient. And if you can be dedicated, focused, and patient, you're going to get where you want to go. But it's not something that's going to be overnight. It might not even be in a week, or it might not even be in a month. They just have to be prepared for going with the flow, the ups and the downs along the way, to where they to the point where they can get to like smooth sailing, if that makes sense.
I mean, that definitely takes time, right? It
Yeah,
takes time in order to get there, whether
takes
you're a
time.
broker or whether you're on a team that provides leads with all the training and support and everything you could want.
Exactly.
So, all right. So let's ask the $1 million question. Why did you leave?
I left because of my family. That's why I left. It was just it just got to the point where I as much as I would have loved to have stayed and been that person who's like, oh my gosh, I can conquer being mom life and work life and homeschool mom life and kids social life, it just was getting to the point where I'm like, I I can't.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I couldn't take
you can,
the hours to work that I wanted to without taking away from dedicating the hours that I needed to contribute to the home. So I
you had to
had to
choose.
limit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is exactly why, I live on the platform that you can't do this part-time.
Yeah.
Like you can't have another job. Your job is your family, which is a full-time job, right? By itself. And that is your full-time job. And to try to get out of any opportunity working part-time is really hard, but it's really hard even, here to be on the phones for the amount of times you need to be on, put in the hours,
Yeah.
try to reach those bonuses, hit the people that, are wanting to talk to you, and then make sure you convert those. It requires time and a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it just ultimately wasn't something that you were able to give, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so obviously your family comes first. And if I ever was in a position where I had to choose, I would choose my family too. I'm not going to lose my family. So, or lose control of it, right? And so if things were different, right? And I kind of asked you this in a different way, but if things were different, and all your kids were not homeschooled and they were gone, 6, 7 hours a day, and you had people taking them to their activities and they were all self-sufficient. Would you didn't move to Africa. Do you think you would still be here?
I probably would. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that, and how long were you here for? I don't even know if you were here for
I don't
8.
think it was even a full year.
Yeah, no, I
Not
want
a
to say
full,
like 8 or 9 months maybe.
yeah.
You definitely had some good months, but it's still very inconsistent, right? In the
Yeah.
you were here. Um, did you see did you see the potential of being able to make 10,000 a month here?
Yeah. I did.
So not impo do you think that was just reserved for the top 1%, or do you think it's possible for really most people to do as long as they do what you and I are saying is required?
Honestly, if you just, I feel like if they just do what's required, it is possible and achievable. You just have to put in the time. You
It's
really
so
have
hard
to.
to have people understand what that time feels like versus just saying it.
I
Um,
know.
because it really is, it's hard to describe until you're actually living it. I think a lot of people that don't have experience in sales or telesales have this imagination that people are just going to be ready, willing, and able to answer the phone and thanking them for their call and having these blissful conversations every 5 minutes. And
Yeah.
when you were a broker versus when you were here, I mean, all things considered, your experience of people on the phone are pretty much similar, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna get the nice ones, but you're also gonna get the tough ones, the
Absolutely.
challenging ones,
That's
you
the
know?
job description, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's the ones that last or that don't have the circumstances you did are the ones that embrace the rejection instead of,
They're not afraid of the no's. They're not afraid of the hard, tough conversations.
yeah. So we'll wrap it up with one piece of advice that you would give an agent watching this video. Words of encouragement, something that you would share to them if someone's struggling and they're watching to see why you failed.
Well, I would just say if someone's in who someone who may have been in my shoes as a, maybe coming from a non-working background to working back to working and having kids is um that it's going to be okay. It's going to work out. And if they can just focus and dial in on what they really truly want out of their job, out of, if this is the path that they want to take, it's worth it. The training alone is worth it. The company alone, the environment, the team, the support, it's worth it. Um, and so if they can just hang in there, you know, they'll find the success that they're wanting and they will enjoy it. Because I think for me, the reason why I was able to leave on good terms was because the environment that you created, the training that you provided, the culture, like the work culture, it's just the always being there to help and support made it feel safe. So this is a safe space. It's not a place where you're going to go to work and be judged and you're going to have this and that, and if you don't do this then this is going to happen. That's not it. So I would just tell people to just be
Stress.
patient, give them a little grace. This is not stressful. And that they can do it. They really can. It's not as hard as they make it out to be.
Absolutely. I really appreciate that, Charisma. And I'm so happy for you and your family and
Thank
just living your
you.
dream and living your truth. And I'm happy that we have come back to talk about what you're doing now and that you can share your story with everybody. And that's it. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.